This is episode 15, Orpheus, and we're coming in basically to the second half of a two-parter. At the end of the last episode, Faith and Angel were beating the crap out of each other, which they're continuing to do now. When we conceived this, all we knew was that the one episode would end with Angel biting Faith, or Angelus biting Faith. And so that would have been the end of episode 14, and now we're kind of officially into 15, where it didn't quite go the way he planned. And for those of you keeping score at home, as Faith got knocked down, we're sort of doing a flashback thing here to explain when she had the time to do this. This whole big fight was actually shot in an abandoned bank downtown. We wanted to do a very different fight in 14, something more vertical, so we brought in all the scaffolding and had the fight so it would feel different than what we'd been doing in the past. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Bell. I run the show for Joss, and I'm sitting here with
Terrence O'Hara, and I'm a director on Angel.
Terrence has done a whole bunch of episodes for us, always great, and I think this is one of the best ones that he's done.
It's probably my favorite, just because of the content of the show and the difficulty, the most challenging.
This is one we really struggled to put together in time. We broke it over Christmas, and we knew we had Eliza for 3 episodes. We wanted to really pay off the Faith episodes really well. We knew we were going to turn Angel back to Angelus, so it was a real watershed episode for us. And with all the, as you'll see, all the moving through time and different periods, it was a really tricky thing to put together, and Terrence did a fantastic job. Okay, that's enough of us sort of kissing up to each other and into the show.
Tricky part about the hotel set is that generally all the cast plus more are there. And although it may not add up to a lot in page count, it ends up having everybody all over the place making key points in the story. The other interesting thing in this scene was that Alexis does not have a good back, and although Elijah is not very heavy, he couldn't do this very often.
One of the things we were trying to do here also was to sort of cross-cut between this very delicate, gentle treating of Faith's character and sort of slamming Angelus in and locking them up. And, because David's a real person, we didn't slam him around quite as much as we'd originally talked about doing, but just sort of trying to contrast the very delicate care of Faith with, the fear and rattling and shackles of Angelus. Mary Smith wrote a lot of great episodes. I think maybe this is her best episode, just really dense and complicated and really interesting. And it's not a vampire show, unless you show a really great close-up of puncture wounds. Our big thing on the show, we can cut off somebody's head, but hey, look, it's Terrence.
Hey.
The thing that they don't like is a lot of blood. And so we always fight with showing blood, even if it's appropriate, because we are a vampire show. But that's one of the things the networks almost always give us notes on, is the amount of blood. Scratch Your Heart is actually a reference to something that Faith said in episodes gone by, so you hardcore fans can go dig that one up and find out where that is. But she's actually in a hallucination there. And what we're trying to do here is sort of set up the shared moments between Angelus and Faith that we're going to go to, so they're both sort of having their own mumblings going on. And I think he looks so cool with his face all bashed up. Last year, he just got the he got really kicked around, and I think he looks like such a badass. Now, when we talked about the Cordelia Connor scene, the last time they played together, she was all sort of sweetness and light. And we just thought this was the psycho woman who was completely being manipulative. And so when she turns on him, it's just one of her tricks to keep him completely off balance. Like that.
Charisma had a lot of fun with this scene. She worked very hard on it to try to bring out the schizophrenia and the manipulating woman.
Poor Connor. He really couldn't catch a break. You know, he was just so manipulated by her, by everyone. Vincent did such a great job of playing really difficult situations and really making him, I think, empathetic in the midst of making wrong choices. I also think Rob Krawl's score is really effective in this episode. Not something you always hear, but you really feel, and I think really sets mood and tone through this whole episode.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, especially with the intercutting earlier. I felt it was very effective.
Yeah, it really helped tie our different time periods and different areas together. Doesn't he look cool?
Orpheus.
We also had Connor, we realized much later, saying magic. It's always magic. He complained, we had him complaining about magic way too much, but he always did it well. Okay, here we go.
Ellis Island.
This is, what, stage number 5?
Yes.
This is one of our sound stages. And Terrence brought Ellis Island, so I'm going to let him talk a little bit about just sort of the idea of making this real.
We had debated a lot previous to shooting how we were going to stage this, and we had thought, oh, we'll get a real boat and go down to Long Beach and shoot there. And of course, we ended up building one. And this is a flat set that stretches the length of the stage, and the buildings on the end are supposed to be the buildings at Ellis Island. And it worked very, very well.
Okay, so here we're sort of setting the ground rules for what's going on. It's Angelus and Faith sharing basically a memory of Angelus's.
It's a Christmas carol.
Yeah, and using the Orpheus drug to sort of put them here. And one of the things we do as we go along, the rules within this constantly change. And I think one of the tributes to Mare and to Terrence is that you really can follow along and understand the changes as they happen.
The fun thing about these scenes was trying to get David as both Angelus and Angel, and then setting up the split screens. And of course, he had to go through full makeup to change. And we had to lock off the cameras. So it took quite a bit of time, but very challenging. And we would try to at least have 3 cameras set up to do split screens so we didn't have to bounce back and forth in makeup.
Moving on to Chicago. Is this Paramount backlot?
This is actually, no, Universal.
Universal backlot.
And this was a lot of fun just because of all the old cars, and there are some occasions you'll see in close-ups cars moving by where the grips are actually pushing them because they were very noisy.
I gotta get out of here.
Well, you thought it'd be funny because you think, oh my God, this is going to be this terrible thing Angelus doesn't want to see. This is just the worst thing ever. And we tried to set up a little idea of, oh, look, Angel's going to kill himself, and then, no, he saved a puppy. One of the great things about having a character who's several hundred years old is there's lots of stories to tell, and we love doing flashbacks. And so this one was flashback-alicious with the different periods, but really trying to fill in different areas of Angel's past that we've never seen before. We hope to continue to do more of those, in the coming seasons, but it lets us show Angel as a very different character.
It's also a great deal of fun for David because he gets to play really, really bad and really, really good. And for the actor, he just had a ball. And it was a pleasure to work with on this. Very Monty Python kind of line. She's not dead yet.
But inside, you know I'm right.
Well, that's a surprise. Look.
It's Allison, or Willow.
I think it was Tim Minear's idea to actually, we were trying to think, okay, how can we reinstall Angel? What's the big way to put Angelus, back in the box? And we kept going to shamans, and he said, why not just get like the really cool witch we know?
Great humor in this script. I really love it. Allison had a time problem because she was doing American Pie 3 and also doing Buffy. She's working 7 days a week or 7 nights a week. So we had her for one day?
I think ultimately 2, I think.
Oh, right. We got her like 2 weeks later.
Yeah. It was very tricky to get her to work in. Now, you may or may not know, but Alexis and Allison are engaged this period. So it was really fun for them to come and get a chance to work together for a couple days. And we tried to play it a little bit like Willow kind of has a crush on Fred.
Without, of course, Wesley knowing.
Yeah, or you're just not quite. See, he just always has to be the stick in the mud, and he did it so well. But I know it was no fun for him frequently to play this foil role. And here, Charisma is actually way pregnant. She had been for a while, and so it was always a challenge for us to sort of at least keep it away from our people. We have outed her to the audience by now, but not to the other characters. So that's why we were keeping her in the room, so that when she did come down, it was a shock. And so the fact that we have her under lots of covers is one of our ways of trying to hide her being pregnant.
And initially, between the scene in the lobby where Allison makes her appearance and this scene, there was another flashback to the 50s.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, in season 2, Tim Minear wrote an episode called Are You Now, which had Angel, where he actually, for the first time, discovered this hotel. And Angelus and Faith walked into scenes from that episode. And Terrence, I believe, shot scenes to sort of tie that together. But ultimately, our show was long, and so we had to trim those out. Once again, Rob Krall's score, real quietly, just a little tinkling bells in the background, bringing a bit of magic to the scene where they're talking about how they can do some kind of magic.
Crack is the key word.
So how'd you do that?
That was a wire gag, actually. And, of course, you get one try. Otherwise, you mark the door up for life.
So basically just slide the knife along the wire?
Yes, we had somebody on a ladder standing up high above and just sliding it down as fast as they could. It worked very well.
Right there, money in the bank.
Great hair. My favorite scene, actually. I had so much fun shooting this. As Angel goes down to play his old standards that he loves, and while we were shooting this, we went out and got a real CD of Barry Manilow, which is coming up, and it was just wonderful because it really does affect you emotionally, and David just went with it.
Yeah, on the soundtrack, we actually couldn't get approval to use the real Barry Manilow, so we used a sound-alike, and I think the guy did a great job.
Yeah, fooled me.
The other thing I really like is Mandy is a song that Angel has sang in the past when Lauren has read him, and the fact that it is in fact tied to this particular memory, I think, makes it much more complex, much more interesting.
And very effective. This set was actually built to match Boogie Nights. We looked at Boogie Nights and tried to set up the same sort of donut shop.
Angel's the one that...
This was also something that we hadn't really thought about before. I think it was Joss's idea, the fact that Angelus is actually never completely gone, but sort of trapped inside Angel.
But I'm always here.
Give me the cash.
The gunman here is actually Eliza's brother, Nate. And he came in an audition, and it wasn't just, oh, please give my brother a job.
This was a scene where we had to really work with the network in terms of how much blood, because I think he had a lot of blood pouring out of his back.
Oh, yeah, we had a lot on the floor. Don't adjust your set. Now, what she is holding in her hand is actually nothing. That was put in the CGI. It was a lot of fun working with these two together in this scene, since they are a couple. Because it's certainly, you could see how much care that Alexis has for her, and it was really quite nice to see, and they work well together.
I think the scene is beautifully lit too. Ross, who's our director of photography, always does a wonderful job at just really, in the hotel, changing the mood and the feel and pretty much taking away all the lights here, just the warmth. It feels like a very small, intimate set when in fact they're standing in the middle of the lobby.
I'm not sure you'd even begin.
We had fun with this, just the idea that Wesley feeling that he was so dark, and
Darkness.
he gets up pretty easily.
Well, I never flayed. I had a woman chained in a...
Which is actually also my episode where he had the woman chained in the closet. That
Deep down the first one of the season, yeah.
nice and fun to do.
No other major changes.
Jeff and I get to explore all our darker sides also.
Little things.
Once again, just a little thing from Willow.
Here's another split screen, of course. Since they do cost quite a bit of money, you have to be judicious in choosing where you can use them, so everything had to be planned ahead of time. And again, back to the music. It's wonderful in this scene.
I'm deep in, Faith.
So now you're dealing in David in a scene with himself and also going into Vamp. Took a little bit of time.
And our reality has just changed because as Angel bit into that guy, Faith's wounds started to bleed as well. It's another step in the progression.
Blurry line tastes.
Tying together her reality, where she is lying in bed in the hotel, with her dreams.
The other thing we played through the 3 Faith episodes was Connor's intrigue with her. Here's someone his age who sort of had similar strengths, and he clearly had a crush on her as well as his feelings for Cordelia.
She was brave and she died in battle.
And if you look at Eliza, you could understand why.
Yeah, there's no shortness of attractive people on our show.
No, not at all. Again, trying to keep the attraction that she has with the fact that she is doing a job and try to be subtle about it. Amy had a lot of fun walking around ringing a bell for half the morning.
Restore the Wilpings in tropic equilibrium.
Jar goes back.
So what? Somebody was jerked across the room with a rope, or just threw themselves?
This was on a ratchet, and for those of you who want to know how it works, it was 3 guys on a ladder jumping down as hard as they could and yanking the stunt woman across the entire hotel. And of course, the wire was erased.
One of the things we played with a lot over these episodes was, what does Angel's soul look like? How do we keep it in the jar? We wanted it to be kind of white and kind of fluffy without being too white and too fluffy, and how bright should it be? And there's a lot of visual effects in this episode as well.
Fill the stone, inside, outside.
All very complicated stuff, like this.
Right. Well, again, she was holding nothing in her hand at that point.
You want to go, Glinda?
Now, is she wearing black contacts, or is that a post thing?
That was post. We were initially going to put her in black contacts, but she was having trouble with them.
Yeah. Another thing, secret about Allison is she hates Latin. And as the witch on Buffy on here, she's had to do so much Latin, and she just sees it, and it's sort of like the high school student going, oh no, not more Latin.
And this is not quite real Latin. It's sort of Latvian in Latin. This was on a crane that we had brought into an alley here.
So once again, the rules of our flashbacks are changing here.
You kiss your mama?
Sort of a homage to old Dracula movies right here, with him coming up like that, for all you Hammer film fans.
Great sound effects.
It's all about the sound effects. So this is one of the things we wanted to establish, was Angel really separated himself from people, couldn't handle the temptation of people, and pretty much just banished himself from society. Which goes to the theme of what we're doing with Faith, which is her really wanting to just quit and be done with it, the way Angel has kind of quit and be done with it. And here's the big twist, that Angel in the flashback knows that Angelus and Faith are there.
The rules have changed again. They can talk to each other. Now, I think those are contacts.
Could be. We've done both with her.
But I can't remember.
Now, I love earthquakes on our show. They look huge, and it's pretty much you shake camera and somebody with some little dust sort of drops it. Okay, for all you video game fans, we apologize for the big, stupid, floaty head. We had really great hopes for it, and it just became something that you'd see on It's a Small World in Disneyland. Just not quite as scary as we had hoped.
This was also a tough effect to do, simply because the camera is moving as they bring the effects in. Effects team did a great job. Whoops.
It's the idea that if Angelus is trapped inside Angel all the time, then Angel would also be trapped inside of Angelus.
Waiting to see this pervert.
And that's different because if you remember from the first time in Ellis Island, he went right through her. Now he can in fact affect her.
No kidding, rat boy.
And we've been waiting to do this for 4 years. Angel versus Angelus. So how did you do that?
That was a split screen, a lock off, and we played back to try to match shot by shot.
So there was nobody else he was hitting. He was hitting space.
He was hitting space.
So you shot this whole fight in one night.
We shot the first meeting in the alley, the crane shot the first night. And then the next night from 5 o'clock till 6:30 in the morning, we shot the rest of this fight. It was brutal. A lot of fun, tough to do. As this goes on, we cut back to it many, many times.
Oh, Connor, I'm so sorry. I thought I came back. That
Because it's always funny to hit somebody over the head with a lamp. Now, here's a really hard thing we're trying to do here that I think Vincent pulls off. Connor is going to be manipulated into doing the one thing he would never do by Cordelia. And a very tricky scene to write. Orpheus was set up on Buffy, was Willow's first spell.
I love this scene. It's her Lady Macbeth scene. And she really does convince him. They both do a very good job.
ready when you are.
Quod perditum est invenitur.
Ne se mort, ne se al finite, te invoke, spirit al treachery.
You know, I have fought harder than anyone to save Angel's life. But there comes a time when you have to weigh risk versus reward. And as much as I love Angel, as a friend, killing Angelus now is the only way to guarantee our family's safety. I know it in my heart now. You're not just protecting me. You're protecting the world. Sometimes one death can spare infinite pain.
Hey, wake up!
Roll the bones. Good for me.
As Jeff said earlier, this is Elijah wanting, or not Elijah, but she wants to quit. She wants to die. It's easier.
This is a beautiful shot, beautiful sequence.
They can't stop you if they don't know.
What about the sanctuary spell?
I can fix it. We're special, Connor.
Te implor duomne, nu ignora acosta rugamente. Lasa orbita safe vasur, carivan transporta.
We have an inordinate amount of magic in this episode, mainly because Willow is here. We always have a little bit of, phlebotinus. We use the word phlebotinus. It's not the correct word, but it's the word we used for, the magic nonsense that we do. But this episode is wall to wall with it, mainly because we have a witch in the house.
You saw me drink. Doesn't get much lower than that. And I thought I could make up for it by disappearing.
I did my time.
Our time is never up, Faith. We pay for everything.
It hurts.
I know.
Este secres aseasta podere, iste dreptur properuel mea de a conduce.
You gun? You should know. I haven't finished the spell yet.
Get up.
You have to get up now, Faith. You have to fight. I need you to fight. You understand what I'm saying?
It's amazing what a little sound effect will do, that picking up that metal pipe and then this sound right here.
Yes, adding that little clink.
Demoralizing.
soul's already in the ether, boyo. I can smell it. How about I send it off to that big puppy rescue in the sky?
Arf, arf, psycho.
Faith. Getting back into the game.
I guess I am.
Rules change again.
Asa, Safai, Akum.
Now, that's not an effect. We just actually had David do that. We had him spew light out of his mouth and eyes, and
And it worked pretty well.
It did. I think that was the third take of him doing it.
Pick me off a switch, son. It's about to be a whooping.
And since we didn't have enough battle in the alley, we needed one more.
We were fight-alicious in this episode.
Lots of wire work, lots of people flying around the rooms. Eliza's very good with the physical.
There's a joke to be made there that I'm not making.
It's over. It's me.
Poor Connor.
Hey,
How are you feeling?
like, I did mushrooms and got eaten by a bear.
That about sums it up.
Yeah.
Now you're going to Sunnydale.
Now, on this day, Eliza came into work in the morning and couldn't talk. She had laryngitis. And this scene was supposed to be first up. But, and of course, Kelly Manners said, well, shoot it and she'll loop it. And I begged Kelly to keep it to the end of the day and try to let her recover. And she did, because she could not utter a word.
I think this scene is a real hallmark of a Joss Whedon show. It's the goodbyes and all the sentiment without anyone ever getting sentimental.
Yeah, no tears, big guy.
Nah, I'm good. I just wish I could have seen you kicking the crap out of Junior here.
It was pretty funny. Wes?
Faith.
See? Fritz know how to say goodbye. Angel here wanted a hug.
No, I didn't.
Got a good show.
Yeah, sit back and let the girl do all the heavy lifting.
That's pretty much it.
I think that volume's outdated. You know better than me, but there's some interesting stuff.
Definitely
about
paying
how-
off the whole crush thing here with this scene.
This is great.
I have to say, someday I'd love to bend your ear about the Pergamon Codex. I think some of the really obscure passages are actually.
And hats off to Amy. She is able to get dialogue out that most people would just stumble over.
Actually, I think it's probably funnier in Latin. You know how that is sometimes.
I'm seeing someone.
Time goes by, Will.
Okay, good. Wagons West. See you guys.
Willow?
He's gonna tell you how much he owes you.
Oh, don't mention it. I got a Slayer out of the deal, so we're even Steven. Tell Buffy you said hi.
You know, what we're setting up here is the crossover of Faith now going to Buffy for the last 5 episodes of the season, fighting the big battle up in Sunnydale.
Call me first, okay?
We actually shot on Buffy a phone call that Willow gets from Fred, but the Buffy episode ended up getting preempted one night when we went to war. And so a week later, it was on, so it no longer matched up. But we had actually planned it very carefully, and like all great plans, fell apart. Now, I'd like to apologize to all of America for this. I picked this dress out based on an email. I didn't see it in person, but we wanted to show sort of, here's the big reveal of Charisma pregnant, and we wanted it to be a little sexy. I had no idea there were tassels and belly dancers, and that she was going to be stuck wearing this dress for the next 3 episodes. I apologize to Charisma and all the people of the world. That's it. This is Jeffrey Bell saying, see you next bat time, same bat channel.
And Terrence O'Hara, and I hope you enjoyed the show.